In the quiet town of Graybrook, Jonah was known as a man of steady hands and a faithful heart. He worked at the iron factory by day, tilled his little garden by evening, and read stories to his children at night. His life was simple, his income modest, but his home was filled with warmth. He had a wife, Miriam, who often hummed while cooking, and 2 children who would run barefoot through the fields. His aging mother stayed with them too, her soft prayers filling the house like morning incense. Then, life turned sharply. One morning, the factory doors were chained shut, closed without warning. Jonah's only source of income vanished. Within weeks, the little savings he had melted away. Then came the greater blow. His mother's health declined rapidly, and the cost of medicine was beyond reach. Friends who once smiled from across the street now crossed to the other side. Whispers spread. Poor Jonah. His faith is strong, but where is his God now? Jonah felt the sting. His heart, once steady, began to tremble. Sometimes, life takes everything at once. It is in those moments that faith feels less like a song and more like a battle cry. Night after night, Jonah knelt beside his bed. His voice cracked, his tears wet the wooden floor. Lord, I have served you faithfully. Please, open a door. Heal my mother. Feed my children. Show me you are still here. But silence filled the room. No dream, no vision, no miracle. Just silence. The silence was louder than any storm. He began to wonder, was I foolish to believe? One night, Miriam found him sitting with his head in his hands. She placed her hand on his shoulder and whispered, Jonah, faith is not only for the days when the sun shines. Faith is for nights like this. Her words kept him from collapsing. When the heavens feel silent, faith whispers, keep going. The children grew thinner. Some nights, dinner was nothing more than bread soaked in water. Jonah watched his daughter push her portion toward her brother and whisper, you eat. I'm not hungry. But he knew she was. His chest burned with shame. At the market, when he tried to buy on credit, the shopkeeper shook his head. I'm sorry, Jonah. Times are hard for everyone. And so Jonah, once a proud worker, found himself in the food bank line, head lowered. 2 men behind him whispered, not caring if he heard. Where is his God now? His prayers don't feed his children. Jonah swallowed hard, but inside, his faith battled his pride. Faith sometimes requires us to walk through humiliation without letting it destroy our spirit. Give me a beautiful and inspiring image prompt. One afternoon, Jonah walked home after another failed job search. His stomach growled, his feet dragged. Along the road, an old woman sold bread from a wooden cart. Seeing his weary eyes, she called out, Son, come here. He shook his head. I have no money. She pressed a loaf into his hands. Take it. God provides. Jonah stood frozen, tears filling his eyes. The bread was rough and simple, but in that moment it was a feast. That night, as his children ate, Jonah whispered, Lord, maybe you are still here, hidden in small mercies. Sometimes God answers through people who carry bread instead of miracles. That winter, a violent storm hit Graybrook. Roofs rattled, trees bent, and the whole town shivered in darkness when the power lines fell. Jonah lit a single candle. His children huddled close. He opened his worn Bible and read, Though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil. His voice cracked, but the words steadied his heart. He realized, storms outside may rage, but storms inside are defeated only by faith. Faith does not stop storms. Faith teaches us how to stand inside them. Weeks passed. Jonah became a shadow of the man he once was. His clothes hung loose on his body, his shoulders bent as if carrying invisible stones. One evening, he walked by the riverbank, thoughts dark and heavy. He stared at the rushing water and whispered, Maybe if I disappear, my family will suffer less. But just then, a memory struck, his little daughter's laughter when he tickled her. His son's small hand gripping his during storms. His wife's eyes, full of quiet strength. Jonah dropped to his knees on the riverbank. God, I can't do this. But if you are still with me, give me strength to take one more step. That night, though nothing changed outwardly, Jonah found the will to keep living. Faith does not always remove pain, but it gives us the strength to stand when we want to fall. One morning, as Jonah searched for work again, a voice called out, "Jonah?" He turned to see Daniel, an old friend from the factory who had moved to another town. Daniel embraced him. "I heard what happened. I've started a small business. I can't offer much, but come work with me. You'll have food for your family." Jonah's eyes filled with tears. "You don't know what this means." Daniel smiled. "I do. Years ago, when I was down, you gave me bread. Now, it's my turn." Faith reminded Jonah that kindness sown in the past often returns in unexpected seasons. Never underestimate small kindnesses. They're seeds that may bloom years later. Jonah began working with Daniel, carrying heavy sacks, cleaning, delivering goods. The pay was small, but it was steady. Each night, he returned home with bread, and his children's eyes lit up like lanterns. Still, the road was not easy. Some days, his mother's medicine cost more than his wages. Some nights, he collapsed on his bed, wondering if he could go on. But each morning, he whispered, "One more day, Lord. Just one more day." Faith is often not a giant leap, but a daily whisper. Just one more step. Months later, disaster struck again. A fire broke out in the town market. Daniel's small shop, their only livelihood, was reduced to ashes. Jonah stood with Daniel, watching the flames consume everything. Smoke filled the sky. Hope seemed to burn with it. Daniel sank to the ground. "It's over. We're finished." Jonah placed a hand on his shoulder. For the first time in months, he spoke with quiet strength. "No, my friend. We are not finished. If God kept me through hunger and shame, he will keep us through this fire." It was then Jonah realized, though he was still poor, though trials continued, his faith had grown stronger than his circumstances. Faith tested by fire does not break. It shines brighter. 2 weeks after the fire, a group of townspeople gathered. One by one, they came to Jonah and Daniel with small gifts, a sack of grain, a hammer, a few coins. A wealthy merchant, touched by Jonah's perseverance, stepped forward. "I've watched you, Jonah. You never gave up. I will help you rebuild." With his support, Daniel's business rose again, stronger than before. Jonah became a trusted partner, his family slowly climbing out of poverty. Sometimes, faith inspires others to become instruments of God's provision. Years passed. Jonah's children grew strong. His mother's health, though fragile, was sustained. Their little house, once filled with tears, now overflowed with laughter. On quiet evenings, Jonah would sit outside with Miriam, watching the sunset paint the sky. He whispered, "We survived the silence. We survived the hunger. We survived the fire. And now we live." Miriam smiled, not because life was easy, but because faith kept us standing. A house built on faith may shake, but it will not fall. Soon, Jonah became known in Graybrook not as the poor man who suffered, but as the man whose faith never died. People in trouble came to him for counsel. Young men asked, "How did you survive?" Jonah would smile gently. "Because even when God was silent, I chose to believe he was still there." His story became a beacon for many. Your testimony of endurance may become the light someone else needs in their darkness. One evening, Jonah sat with his now-grown children. He said, "My children, life will test you. It will strip you, break you, humble you. But remember this, faith is not proven in sunshine, but in storms. Hold on. Even when God seems far, he is closer than your breath." His son asked softly, "Papa, was it worth it? All the suffering?" Jonah's eyes shone with tears. "Yes. Because I found that even in ashes, God can grow gardens." Dear listener, this is not just Jonah's story. It is your story too. Perhaps you are in a season of silence, hunger, or fire. You may feel abandoned, unseen, unheard. But let Jonah's journey remind you, silence is not absence, and delay is not denial. Keep walking. Keep whispering prayers. Keep believing. Because faith does not promise a life without storms. It promises that you will never walk through them alone. And one day, like Jonah, you will look back not at what you lost, but at how far faith carried you. For more motivational, inspirational, and educative stories, kindly subscribe to this channel.